She boarded the flight like any other passenger, tired, quiet, and ready to close her eyes. A black woman tucked herself into the window seat, headphones in, and drifted into a peaceful sleep. Nobody on that plane knew that before they landed, her name would be on every passenger's lips. 2 hours into the flight, the calm hum of the engines was shattered by the captain's voice over the intercom. His tone was sharp, urgent, unlike the usual announcements about turbulence or snacks. "Ladies and gentlemen, if there is a fighter pilot on board, please make yourself known immediately." The words sent a wave of confusion and fear through the cabin. The atmosphere shifted instantly. A mother clutched her child closer. Businessmen who had been laughing minutes earlier froze mid-sentence. Even the flight attendants, usually calm under pressure, exchanged worried glances. What kind of emergency required a fighter pilot at 30,000 feet? The sudden silence and murmurs stirred the woman from her sleep. She sat up, blinking, as she realized every face was pale with worry. Confused, she asked the man beside her what was happening. He leaned closer and whispered, "The captain is asking for a fighter pilot." Something's very wrong. Her heart skipped a beat, because those words hit closer to her past than anyone could imagine. The intercom crackled again, this time sharper, almost desperate. "Please, if anyone here has military flight experience, identify yourself." The plane fell into eerie silence. Passengers held their breath. No one moved. But then, whispers began. Heads turned. Eyes started focusing on her row. The woman's pulse quickened. She wanted to remain invisible, but her past refused to stay hidden. Years ago, she had been one of the few black women to fly combat aircraft, a decorated fighter pilot. The whispers grew louder until the man behind her finally said it out loud. "That's her. She's the one every eye locked on her." The cabin door opened, and to everyone's shock, the captain himself stepped out. He scanned the rows until his eyes met hers. Without hesitation, he said, "Ma'am, we need you. Please come with me." Gasps filled the air. The woman froze. Part of her was terrified, but another part, deep inside, knew this moment had been waiting for her. Her mind raced. It had been years since she touched a cockpit. What if she wasn't ready? What if she failed? But as she looked around at the terrified faces, children crying, strangers staring with desperate hope, something inside her shifted. Slowly, she unbuckled her seatbelt, stood tall, and walked toward the cockpit. The cabin fell silent, as though holding its breath. As the cockpit door closed behind her, the whispers exploded. Nobody knew what was happening. Was there an enemy aircraft nearby? A failing system? A hijack attempt? The engines roared louder as though echoing the rising tension. Then the intercom clicked once more. The captain's voice came back steadier than before. "Ladies and gentlemen, you won't believe what's happening right now." The entire plane leaned forward in silence, hearts pounding, waiting for the unthinkable truth. The captain's voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "We've lost partial control of our navigation system. Air traffic control suspects another aircraft may be on a collision path with us. We need someone with combat flight experience in case we must maneuver manually." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Was this plane about to collide mid-air? For a few seconds, no one moved, no one spoke. The woman stood frozen near the cockpit door. All eyes were on her now, their silent plea heavy in the air. "Save us." The captain motioned her inside. As the door closed behind them, the passengers were left in restless suspense. The cockpit was a blur of blinking lights, alarms flashing, and co-pilot's tense voice explaining the malfunction. She felt her old instincts kicking in. She wasn't just a passenger anymore. As her hands hovered over the controls, memories surged back. Roaring engines, night missions, moments where failure meant death. She had left that life behind, but here, at 30,000 feet, Destiny had called her back. Meanwhile, in the cabin, passengers pressed against the windows, scanning the skies. Was there another aircraft? Some swore they saw a small shadow moving in the distance. Fear spread like wildfire. Suddenly, the plane jolted violently. Drinks spilled, luggage rattled overhead, and screams filled the cabin. The intercom crackled with the captain's urgent voice. "Hold tight! We're maneuvering!" The black woman, now strapped into the jump seat in the cockpit, steadied her hands on the controls. With precise skill, she adjusted the plane's course, her movements calm yet firm. The captain glanced at her in awe. She was no ordinary passenger. Out of nowhere, a faint aircraft silhouette appeared on the radar, dangerously close. The collision warning blared. "We need to dive now!" she shouted. The plane tilted sharply, screams erupting from the cabin as clouds blurred past the windows. Miraculously, the evasive maneuver worked. The radar cleared, the warning stopped, and silence filled the cockpit. But relief was short-lived. A new alarm flashed red. The autopilot system had shut down completely. Now the entire 200-passenger plane depended on her manual flying skills. Her breath slowed, her grip tightened. "I'll do this," she said quietly, almost to herself. The captain nodded, trusting her entirely. Back in the cabin, rumors flew. "She's a fighter pilot." "She's flying the plane." "She's saving us." Passengers who had once doubted her were now looking at her row with admiration and awe. Just when things seemed under control, the plane flew into a wall of dark clouds. Lightning cracked outside. Turbulence shook the fuselage violently. Children cried, adults prayed, and every heart pounded with fear. Inside the cockpit, her voice cut through the chaos. "We're not going down today." With steady hands, she guided the plane through violent turbulence, her fighter pilot instincts shining through. In the cabin, a woman whispered through tears, "She's saving us. She's really saving us." Strangers held hands across the aisles, united in fear and fragile hope. During a rare moment of calm, the captain leaned toward her. "I've never seen flying like this. Without you, we wouldn't have stood a chance." She didn't reply. Her focus stayed locked on survival. Just when the storm cleared, another announcement rocked the cabin. The landing gear system had failed. Landing safely was now almost impossible without manual intervention. She closed her eyes for a second, recalling the emergency drills she thought she'd never use again. Then she spoke with authority. "I'll land this plane." The captain nodded. She was in charge now. Back in the cabin, the captain's voice echoed, "Ladies and gentlemen, please brace for an emergency landing." Cries filled the plane, but amidst the fear, someone shouted, "Trust her! She's got us!" The runway lights appeared faintly through the clouds. Sweat dripped down her forehead as she adjusted the flaps manually. Every second felt like eternity. The wheels screeched against the tarmac. Sparks flew. The plane shuddered, tilted, then steadied. Against all odds, it skidded down the runway and came to a halt. For a moment, silence hung heavy. Then the cabin erupted in cheers, sobs, and applause. As passengers disembarked, many stopped to thank her with tears in their eyes. The captain shook her hand firmly. "You didn't just save this flight. You reminded us what real courage looks like." She looked back one last time at the plane, knowing this wasn't just a journey. It was her destiny reclaiming her.